Have you ever reached a point where being around too many people feels more exhausting than comforting? I didn't expect it either. But somewhere along the way, around the time I turned 65, I realized that the way I connect with the world had quietly shifted. For most of my life, I was the one who showed up. For family, for friends, for neighbors. Even when I was tired, even when it cost me more than I could give. But with time came clarity. And with clarity came a surprising truth. Not every relationship is meant to last, and not every invitation deserves a yes. This isn't a story about bitterness. It's a story about peace, about learning to choose your moments, your people, and your energy with care. In this video, I'll share the quiet lessons that brought me here, and maybe they'll speak to something you felt too. If that sounds like a journey you're on, or one you're curious about, stay with me. Let's walk through it together. Number 1, time feels more precious than ever. When I turned 65, something shifted, not in a loud or dramatic way, but in the quiet moments. I started to feel time differently. It wasn't just ticking away anymore. It was whispering to me. When we're young, time feels endless. We waste it like spare change. We say yes too often. Yes to people, plans, and promises that drain us, not fill us. I used to think I had to keep up, keep pleasing, keep going. But now every moment feels sacred. I've realized that how I spend my time is who I become. And this clarity, it's not from fear, it's from wisdom. I don't avoid people because I've turned bitter. I avoid people because I've grown selective. I no longer chase surface-level chatter or relationships built on obligation. If it doesn't bring peace, depth, or joy, it simply doesn't make the cut. I'd rather sip coffee in silence than sit at a crowded table feeling invisible. I'd rather walk in the park alone than be stuck in a room full of noise that never touches the heart. Time has become my most honest mirror. It reminds me not to rush, not to perform. It tells me that stillness isn't loneliness, it's self-respect. It teaches me that not everyone deserves access to my energy. I ask myself now, does this conversation feel nourishing? Does this person value my presence the way I value theirs? If not, I let it go. With love, but without hesitation. These days, I protect my time the way I once protected my children. I keep it safe, intentional, and close to my heart. This doesn't mean I've closed my door. It means I open it more thoughtfully. I've traded quantity for quality. I no longer attend every event or answer every call. But when I do show up, when I give you my time, you can trust that I'm fully present, that I'm there because I want to be, not because I feel I have to be. So if you're finding yourself feeling the same way, pulling back, choosing silence over small talk, depth over distractions, I want you to know something. You're not fading away. You're finally coming into focus. This chapter of life isn't about filling the calendar. It's about filling the soul. So slow down, choose wisely, and treat your time like the treasure it truly is. Because when you stop giving it away so freely, you start living more fully than ever before. Number 2, relationships change, and so do we. At 65, one of the quietest but deepest truths I've come to accept is this. Not every relationship is meant to last forever. And that doesn't mean something went wrong. It simply means we're evolving and life is moving as it should. When I was younger, I believed it was my job to hold every connection together. I remembered every birthday, sent every holiday card, showed up even when I was tired, just to prove I was reliable, loving, supportive, dependable. I thought that's what made me a good person. And maybe for a time, it did. But over the years, something shifted. Not all relationships felt mutual anymore. Some left me feeling seen and uplifted. Others left me feeling invisible. I started to notice the difference between people who truly cared and those who only showed up when it was convenient. And slowly, with a heavy but honest heart, I let go of the idea that I had to be everything to everyone. This wasn't bitterness, it was clarity. You see, people grow. I've grown. And sometimes growth means outgrowing certain dynamics. I've had to walk away from relationships that once meant the world to me. Not because I stopped caring, but because they stopped nourishing who I was becoming. Some friends drifted, some family bonds changed, some silences became permanent. And for a while that hurt deeply. I questioned myself. Was I too distant? Did I fail them somehow? But the more I reflected, the more I understood. Letting go doesn't mean I gave up. It means I stopped chasing what no longer felt right. Now my circle is smaller, but it's sacred. The people who remain are those who meet me with the same love and presence I offer. We listen to each other, laugh together, and sit in the silence without needing to fill it. There's no pressure, no performance, just truth, tenderness, and time well spent. Sure, sometimes nostalgia creeps in. I'll catch myself thinking about someone I used to talk to every day. And in those moments, I don't feel regret. I feel gratitude. That person, that season, it mattered. Even if they're not here now, they shaped a part of me I still carry. And that's enough. So if you're holding on to connections that feel one-sided or draining, I want to gently tell you, it's okay to let go. It's not cold, it's not selfish. It's a form of self-respect. Focus on the people who bring you peace, the ones who make you feel understood, not tolerated, the ones who celebrate your presence without conditions. Life at this age isn't about how many people are around you, it's about who really sees you. Because in the end, the best relationships aren't the ones that lasted the longest. They're the ones that made you feel most alive. Number 3, trust becomes more complex. At 65, I've learned that trust doesn't come wrapped in pretty bows anymore. It's not given freely like it once was. It's something tender, cautious, and deeply earned. When I was younger, I led with trust. I gave people the benefit of the doubt. I believed that if I was honest, others would be too. I offered my time, my energy, and my loyalty without hesitation, thinking that was the right thing to do. And sometimes it was. There were beautiful moments, friendships that bloomed, connections that felt like family. But not every story had a happy ending. I've been let down by people I once called my closest. A friend who only came around when they needed something. A sibling whose silence hurt more than words. A colleague who used my openness as leverage, not as a bridge. Those moments stayed with me, not as bitterness, but as lessons. These days, when someone new enters my life, my first instinct isn't to open the door wide. It's to pause and observe. What do they value? What do they want? It's not because I expect the worst. It's because I've finally learned the importance of listening to that quiet voice inside, the one that senses what words don't always say. The biggest shift, though, hasn't been about others. It's been about me. I've started to trust myself. I used to second-guess my feelings. I'd brush off discomfort, tell myself I was overreacting. But experience has taught me otherwise. Now when something feels off, I pay attention. When someone's energy doesn't sit right, I step back. And when a relationship starts costing me my peace, I give myself permission to walk away. Because peace at this point in life is non-negotiable. That doesn't mean I've lost faith in people. In fact, some of the most touching reminders of trust have come in the smallest moments. A neighbor who left a meal at my door after a long week. A stranger who helped me with my groceries without expecting a word in return. These gestures, quiet, sincere, remind me that goodness still exists. That trust isn't dead, it just lives in different places now. For me, trust has become less about grand gestures and more about quiet consistency. It's not about giving everyone equal access to your heart. It's about choosing carefully. It's about surrounding yourself with those who show up, who mean what they say, and who prove through time, not promises, that they're worthy of your belief. So if you find yourself more guarded these days, please know, there's no shame in that. You're not being cold. You're being wise. Protecting your trust is an act of self-respect. You're not shutting the world out. You're simply choosing who gets to walk beside you. And in this season of life, that might be the most powerful kind of trust there is. Number 4, the world has changed. At 65, I've seen the world turn faster than I ever imagined. Life today feels like it's always rushing, screens lighting up, plans overlapping, voices competing to be heard. We've made incredible leaps in technology, convenience, and connection. But somewhere along the way, we left something behind. I remember a different kind of pace. I remember when neighbors didn't need appointments. When a knock on the door meant a hot cup of coffee and an afternoon of laughter, not suspicion or inconvenience. I remember when Sunday dinners were sacred, when families didn't need to coordinate calendars to see each other. Back then, time felt slower, but richer. We were present. We belonged to each other in a way that didn't need reminders or phone alerts. These days, everything feels noisier. Even conversations once soulful and slow now seem like fragments squeezed between meetings, errands, and scrolls. People talk in bullet points. Eye contact is brief, and even when we're together, the beeping of phones pulls us apart. Don't get me wrong, I'm not against progress. I'm grateful I can video call my granddaughter and see her bright eyes light up from states away. I enjoy swapping old photos with childhood friends I thought I'd lost forever. Technology has bridged distances, yes, but it's also deepened the silence in the room. Because no matter how advanced the world becomes, nothing replaces presence, the warmth of someone reaching out to hold your hand, the comfort of shared silence over tea, the kind of connection that isn't filtered through a screen, edited by emojis, or interrupted by notifications. And truthfully, sometimes it's all too much. The noise, the speed, the pressure to keep up. So, I've made peace with stepping back. I no longer try to keep pace with a world that prizes efficiency over empathy. I've learned to choose presence over productivity, stillness over stimulation. I find joy in the little things: a handwritten note, a walk without my phone, an unhurried chat with someone who listens not to reply, but to truly understand. If you feel that longing too, that ache for slowness, for something real, you're not alone. It's not about rejecting the modern world. It's about remembering what makes life feel whole. Choosing to unplug isn't a protest. It's an act of preservation, a quiet stand for authenticity in a world that often rushes right past it. So no, I haven't given up on the world. I've just chosen to live it differently, more softly, more intentionally. And I believe there's something deeply powerful about that choice. Because in a time where everything moves faster, sometimes the bravest thing you can do is slow down. Number 5, solitude isn't loneliness. One of the most beautiful truths I've come to understand at 65 is this: solitude and loneliness are not the same, not even close. Loneliness is a hollow ache, a longing for something or someone that feels just out of reach. It's heavy, it lingers. It makes you feel like you're missing a piece of yourself. But solitude? Solitude is something entirely different. It's a gentle kind of quiet. A space you step into, not because you've been left behind, but because you've finally chosen to sit with yourself. For a long time, I didn't know the difference. I used to fill my calendar with social gatherings and visits, worried that too much quiet meant I'd somehow become irrelevant. But now I cherish the stillness. I welcome the gentle hush of a slow morning, the peace of sitting on my porch with a cup of tea, the silence that allows me to hear the wind in the trees and the steady rhythm of my own breath. Those moments aren't empty. They're full of clarity, full of presence, full of meaning. In solitude, I found space to reflect, not with regret, but with grace. I think about the life I've lived, the chapters I've closed, the lessons I've earned. I've learned to forgive myself for choices I didn't know better than to make. I've learned to celebrate the memories that still make me smile. There's something deeply healing about sitting quietly with your own story and finally seeing it not as a series of mistakes or missed chances, but as a journey of becoming. What's surprising is that the more time I spend in solitude, the more I appreciate my relationships. I no longer feel pressure to be everywhere, for everyone. I focus instead on the people who fill my life with meaning. And when I do spend time with them, I'm more present, more real, more grateful. Solitude has taught me to enjoy my own company, to stop measuring my worth by how many people surround me or how full my day is. My value doesn't come from the noise. It comes from knowing who I am when the noise fades. So if you're afraid of being alone, let me gently offer this. Solitude isn't something to avoid. It's a gift. A quiet room where you can lay down your burdens and simply be. No expectations, no performance, just peace. In that silence, you might be surprised by what you hear. Maybe it's the voice of your younger self, still hopeful. Maybe it's the wisdom you've gathered but never had time to sit with. Maybe, just maybe, it's the sound of your own heart saying, "This is where I belong." Solitude isn't the absence of connection. It's where you reconnect with what matters, with who you are, and with the still, steady joy of simply being alive. Number 6, why I avoid people now. At 65, I've stopped apologizing for needing space. I no longer feel the need to explain why I avoid certain people or step away from certain conversations. It's not bitterness. It's not resentment. It's peace. There was a time when I believed my worth was tied to how available I was to others. I was the one who always showed up, the dependable friend, the go-to relative, the one who rarely said no, even when I was running on empty. And while that chapter held moments of connection and joy, it also left me stretched thin, emotionally exhausted from trying to meet expectations that were never truly mutual. It took years, decades really, to understand that just because someone asks for your energy doesn't mean they deserve it. I've seen how kindness can be mistaken for obligation, how being dependable can turn into being taken for granted, and how staying in draining relationships out of loyalty slowly chips away at your spirit. Now I see things through a different lens. Avoiding people isn't about closing off. It's about opening up to the life I want to live. It's about choosing peace over people-pleasing. I no longer feel guilty for walking away from dynamics that feel one-sided or conversations that carry more judgment than warmth. I've learned that it's okay to outgrow people. Today, my world is quieter, but so much richer. The friends I have now, they don't need constant attention to feel close. They don't drain me with gossip or competition. Our conversations are calm, genuine, sometimes even silent, and yet they leave me feeling seen. I've also become intentional about who I give my time to. I no longer entertain those who carry chaos wherever they go, or those who always seem to take but never give. The people who never ask how you're doing, but always expect you to listen to their troubles. They've gently exited my life. Not with anger, just with grace. And what's left? A sense of ease I never thought I'd know. Saying no more often, choosing a walk alone over a room full of noise, protecting my mornings with silence instead of small talk. It's not isolation, it's clarity. It's me finally valuing my own energy the way I once valued everyone else's. Avoiding people doesn't mean I've given up on human connection. It means I've chosen to stop pouring into cups that never poured back. It means I'm honoring myself, the time I have left, the peace I've earned, and the kind of life I want to live. If you've been feeling the same way, craving more stillness, less drama, deeper meaning, you're not cold or selfish. You're simply waking up to what matters. And once you start choosing peace over pressure, you'll never want to go back. Number 7, is this a shared experience? Have you ever found yourself asking, am I the only one who feels this way? I know I have, more than once. As I've grown older, I've become more intentional with my energy, more selective about who I welcome into my life. At first, I wondered if that meant I was becoming too guarded, too withdrawn, but then I started opening up to friends my age. Conversations over coffee turned into quiet confessions, and slowly I realized something powerful. This isn't just my story, it's ours. Many of us have spent a lifetime trying to be everything to everyone. The reliable friend, the ever-present sibling, the neighbor who never says no. And for a time, it gave us purpose. It felt good to be needed. But somewhere along the way, that constant giving started to wear us down. One by one, my friends shared the same realization. We had been pouring from a cup that was nearly empty. We gave so much of ourselves, our time, our care, our attention, that we forgot to leave anything for us. And now we're waking up. Not with bitterness, but with clarity. We're learning that peace isn't found in how many people surround you. It's found in how safe and seen you feel within the relationships you do keep. We no longer chase approval through constant availability. We no longer measure our worth by how many invitations we accept or favors we fulfill. We crave fewer connections, but deeper ones. Conversations that matter. Moments that don't need to be posted to feel real. Relationships where silence feels just as comforting as laughter. Of course, this shift can feel unsettling. Saying no to someone who once relied on you is never easy. Letting go of an old connection, even one that no longer serves you, can feel like shedding a part of yourself. But that's not selfishness. That's wisdom. We've learned that choosing ourselves doesn't mean we love others less. It simply means we're honoring our limits. We're creating space for the kind of connection that uplifts instead of depletes. And if this sounds like your story too, I want you to know, you're not alone. There's a quiet but growing chorus of people in their 60s, 70s, and beyond who are making the same choice. We're trading busyness for balance. We're letting go of noise so we can hear our own hearts again. And in doing so, we're finding something we didn't expect. Freedom, peace, a sense of self that feels more whole than it did in our younger years. This stage of life isn't about quantity, it's about truth. And the truth is, when you stop chasing what no longer fits, you make room for something far more beautiful: authenticity. So if you've been wondering whether your path is strange or selfish, let me reassure you, it's neither. It's simply honest, and more importantly, it's shared. Number 8, embracing this chapter of life. Life, I've come to realize, isn't a series of endings. It's a gentle unfolding of new beginnings. At 65, I'm not winding down. I'm leaning in. This chapter of life isn't about proving anything to anyone. It's about finally embracing who I've become. There's a quiet kind of freedom in that. In my younger years, everything felt urgent. There was always something to chase, a goal to reach, a milestone to hit, someone to impress. I lived with a sense of not yet, always looking to the next thing, thinking fulfillment would arrive if I just did a little more. But now I see the beauty in simply being. I'm no longer racing, I'm savoring. This stage of life has softened my focus. I don't need grand moments to feel alive. I've learned to find joy in the light streaming through my kitchen window, the warmth of a familiar blanket, the sound of laughter shared over a simple meal. These moments, once overlooked, now feel like treasures. They remind me that the richest parts of life often come dressed in simplicity. And yes, this is also a time of reflection. When I look back, I don't see perfection. I see a mosaic. Moments of triumph, heartbreak, resilience, and joy, stitched together into something uniquely mine. I carry it all with me, not as a weight, but as a story. A story that reminds me how far I've come and how deeply I've grown. I no longer cling to the past, but I honor it. I thank it for the lessons. I forgive it for the scars. But perhaps the most beautiful part of this chapter is knowing it's not over, not even close. There's still room for discovery, still time to plant new seeds, whether it's learning something new, writing letters I never sent, or taking a walk just to admire the sky. I wake up knowing there's still more life to live, and this time it's on my terms. I say no more often now, but not out of defiance, out of clarity. I've learned that not everything is meant for me, and that's okay. I no longer chase what drains me. I lean into what fills me, with peace, with meaning, with softness. So if you're walking this road too, know this: there's nothing small about this chapter. It's a season of wisdom, of release, of deep-rooted joy. It's the moment you stop asking for permission and start living for what feels real. Let go of the noise. Choose the quiet. Choose the truth of who you are, not who the world told you to be. This chapter is yours, and it can be the most beautiful one yet, written with gratitude, shaped by simplicity, and lived with a heart that no longer needs to chase because it's finally home. In the end, avoiding people at this stage of life isn't about closing doors. It's about opening space for peace, clarity, and the kind of joy that runs deep. At 65, we're not trying to escape the world. We're simply choosing what truly matters: honest connections, quiet contentment, and time well spent. This chapter invites us to let go of the noise, the pressure, the roles we no longer need to play. And in doing so, we find something beautiful: ourselves. If this message speaks to you, take a moment to subscribe. You're not alone on this journey. And if any part of this resonated, drop a quick "still here" in the comments. I'd love to know who's walking this path with me. The best part? This chapter isn't over. It's just getting interesting. Let's keep going. Together. See you in the next video.